This Thursday, the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, is expected to take a vote that could have significant implications for Americans' access to the Internet. The FCC is expected to roll back rules that were imposed to protect what is called net neutrality, regulations passed during the Obama administration. The idea was to ensure that Internet providers, including big companies like Verizon, Comcast, and AT&T, treat all content on the web equally, that they provide a kind of open highway and are not allowed to charge more or even block your ability to see content from other companies like Netflix, Facebook, and Google. The FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, is pushing to kill the Obama-era rules, saying that they actually are not helping consumers. He argues the web needs less regulation. We interviewed Pai when he first released the proposal, and tonight we hear from a Democrat on the commission, Mignon Clyburn, who is opposed to the move. Commissioner Clyburn, thank you for being with us. So what is it about Chairman Pai's move that you object to?
It leaves the consumer in a regulatory-free zone. No one is looking out for their best interests. The question is simple. Do you, as a consumer, control your experiences online? Or will it be that multi-billion-dollar Internet service provider? It is very simple.
Well, he has argued, and you know this very well, he says what we've got now, thanks to the Obama administration, are heavy-handed government regulations. He says they've discouraged innovation, that investment in these companies is down as a result of these regulations.
There are no credible studies that show that investment is down. The Internet rules that we have in place today, the open Internet rules that we passed in 2015, they threw away over 700 rules and 25 provisions that we governed ourselves back in the old telecom era. So the rules are light touch, forward-looking, and they take into account that the Internet today is different than it was even 10 years ago. Internet service providers are sometimes in the content business. Some of them own media companies. Right. So the question is, will they have the incentive to advantage, to promote, to give favoritism to their own content, or will there be an even playing field? And that's the question, and that is at risk.
Again, I know you're familiar with Mr. Pai's pushback. He's saying, well, what we've had is heavy regulation, and what we need to go back to is, in his words, light touch regulatory environment like what we had from the late 90s through 2015 when the Obama administration imposed these new rules.
Well, my answer is this. These rules that we have today were built on an era that started back in 2005 when there were Internet principles put in place because there were issues. And the FCC back in 2005 said, we need an agreement. Internet service providers, you need to treat applications and services and access over the Internet equal. They said that. But the voluntary approach that they created back then, because of the number of complaints that we had, it was obvious it did not work. We needed to codify or put those rules on paper in place. And that's what we have today. And the Internet has thrived. And our individual experiences, they have just ballooned because of the certainty that we have, that we know protections are in place, that no one can favor or block traffic when it comes to my experiences over the Internet. But that is at risk coming Thursday.
Commissioner Clyburn, you've been openly saying that you're concerned about what this could mean for communities of color. What are you referring to there?
We would have never heard about Ferguson, Missouri, but for the Internet. People on the ground were telling the stories. And then and only then did the rest of the media ecosystem weigh in and cover it. So you've got communities that no one else is listening to. They're telling their own story. They're promoting their own products. Their services are now a part of the lexicon of the American experience. But if we go back to the days where there are no protections, where an Internet service provider can suppress your experience, can favor someone else's traffic, cannot tell your story, then so many communities of color, poor rural communities, we would not hear about them. They would, in essence, not be on the media map. And that would be a shame if we go back to the days where you had gatekeepers.
So specifically, what are you worried that, say, a Verizon or a Comcast could do? I
worry that if there is MignonClyburn.com and Verizon has a competing business with MignonClyburn.com, then they would favor that experience or the traffic that would promote their company or their business interests, and mine would be at risk. So it is about an even playing field. It is about small startups being able to compete if they have a superior product.
So just yesterday, in an apparent attempt to address some of these criticisms, Chairman Pai came up with a proposal. He said there's been this agreement between the FCC and the Federal Trade Commission, whereby once this takes effect, the FTC is going to be given the responsibility of going after these internet providers if they engage in unfair practices.
The FTC is an agency that has absolutely no experience when it comes to net neutrality protections. The FTC is an agency that does not play in this space when it comes to utility or telecommunications providers. These are the same providers that give us internet access. And if you don't have any experience, or if you don't have the authority, which the FTC does not, I believe, then who is there to protect you? And so that memorandum of understanding, that agreement, was an afterthought.
Finally, this vote is expected to happen on Thursday. It's expected the chairman's going to prevail. He's got the majority. But once that happens, there are going to be court challenges. Do you expect this is going to go on for some time?
I do, which will create uncertainty in the market. We have a system that is the envy of every other country in the world. Why break it? Why cause disruption? Why?
FCC Commissioner Mignon Clyburn, thank you very much.
My pleasure.